أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So our plan for today is we're going to do is a quick review of the chapters we covered, and then I'll tell you the format of the exam and the location of the exam, and then we'll do a few flowchart practices, flowchart exercises, and then you'll take the quiz inshallah. So let's start. We have 4 chapters in the exam. The first chapter is chapter 1, where we discussed data, information, and system. If you remember, data is a small piece of information which is useful if you have the rest of the information, but it is not useful if you do not have the complete information or the rest of the information. Information is a complete set of data which has 7 qualities. If one of these qualities are missing, then the information becomes useless. Then we discussed the system, which is small parts coming together, working together, trying to accomplish one single goal. And we discussed that the system has smaller systems, which we call subsystems. And then the system itself could be a subsystem of a bigger system. Then we discussed the value of information. There is cost of producing the information, and then there is benefit. If the benefit is more than the cost, then there is positive value. And we discussed that it is sometimes difficult to determine a number, a quantitative figure for the value information. Then we discussed the 7 qualities of information. You should understand them, you should know them, and if you're given a situation, you should be able to identify which quality is present and which quality is missing. And I will go through the review and then let you study between now and next Sunday, and then next Sunday I will give you the opportunity to ask me questions after the lecture. I'll make the lecture short both on Sunday and Tuesday so that you can ask me questions following the lecture. If I ask you to ask me questions now, perhaps you haven't studied in detail yet, number one. Number two, you have a little bit of anxiety because of the quiz, I believe. So I'm going to do the review and then let you study over the weekend and then come back on Sunday with your questions. So moving on, number 4, we discussed the users of information, which are 2 different categories. Number 1, external users, such as the government, the stakeholders, the stockholders, the bank, etc. And then the internal users, who are the employees, the management of the company. And when we prepare the information, we need to keep both of them in mind. The external users information reporting is mandatory, which is required. The internal users reporting of information is optional. So we need to keep in mind of the benefits and the costs associated with the information. Then we defined accounting information system, which is to collect, process, and store data and produce information for decision making. Then we discussed the decisions that are made with the information that we produce, and we discussed 3 different decision scopes and then 3 different decision structures. We discussed semi-structured, structured, and unstructured decisions. And then we discussed operational control, management control, and strategic planning decisions. You should understand both of these categories and all 3 of the different types of decision scopes and the decision structures. Number 7, we discussed the accounting information system in the value chain, which has value, which adds value to every step following the step that you're taking. And then in each organization, you have some primary activities and some support activities. So you should understand the distinction between the primary and the support activities. And then you should understand the concept of value chain. If one of the activities in the value chain is interrupted, then all the activities following that would be interrupted. So for example, if the medicine production stops, then the pharmacies will suffer, or if the shipment of the medicine stops, the pharmacies will suffer, and then the patients will suffer. So one step in the value chain creates interruption in all the activities following that. And in this value chain, there's a lot of data and information that is exchanged. So we need to understand the value chains in order for us to handle the data and the information. Then we discussed investment in technology. There are a number of different options which a company can avail, but the company should keep in mind its strategy and strategic position before investing in technology. So we discussed two different uh, strategies, the low cost and the product differentiation, and then we discussed three different strategic positions: needs based, variety based, and access based. And you should understand what these are. You should be able to distinguish and make a decision which is the best type of strategy in a particular business, etc. Then we go on to chapter 2. We discussed two different big topics in chapter 2. The first one was the processing cycle, which involved input, processing, storage, and output of data. And we discussed the enhancement of the data processing in each one of these stages using technology or other techniques. So you should study it, and you should understand the steps and how each step can be enhanced. And then we discussed business cycles, 5 different business cycles: financing, revenue, expenditure, production, and payroll. And we discussed the activities under each. You should understand which activity belongs to which business cycle, more so than just memorizing the activities, because memorizing the activities may not cause you to understand them well. You should be able to identify, if a situation is given to you, you should be able to identify that this situation belongs to the production cycle, for example, right? So you should know the steps. And this is very, very simple and common sense. It does not require a lot of complicated understanding. You should study it. You should be able to get it. And if you have any questions, I will entertain them, inshallah, next week. The third chapter, we discussed documentation, 2 different types: data flow diagram and flow charts. In the data flow diagram, there are first symbols, very, very simple and easy, and it has 3 different levels. We have the context, we have the level 0, and we have the level 1. Context has the least detail, level 0 has a little bit more, and level 1 has complete detail. So you should be able to draw a simple data flow diagram. It's very simple, and there are only 4 symbols. So the only thing that can have multiple steps usually is the transformation process. If there are multiple steps in the transformation process, like the example we looked at, then we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4 in those. But otherwise, if it's a context diagram, then the transformation process will not break into multiple steps. The flowcharts, however, have multiple symbols, and I asked you to draw and practice them. There are 3 different types of flowcharts: document, system, and program. The document chart shows the life history of the document, where it came from, where it went, how it was disposed or saved. The system shows the process in the system, what happened, how information was collected, or what activities took place, where the data was stored, or how it was viewed, etc. Then the program flowchart shows the operations of a computer program. It is the simplest of all the ones, and it usually has a decision step where the computer has to decide yes or no before going to the next step. And I asked you to practice. I gave you a couple of questions, and we're going to do some more similar to the ones that are going to be in the exam. So the ones that we're going to do now are going to be closer to those that you should expect in the exam, inshallah. These slides, by the way, will be posted in Blackboard at 5 o'clock today, inshallah. So you should be able to download these. In our last 2 classes, we discussed chapter 4. which is databases, and we discuss the advantages of databases over filing system, how it is making things easier and faster and without duplication. Then we discuss the physical and the logical views of the data, the stored data as well as the one that you see on the screen. Then we discuss the three different types of schemas, which are logical structures of the database: the internal level schema, the external level schema, and the conceptual level schemas. You should understand what they are. The data dictionary is what we discussed next, which includes the detailed information about the data elements. We just discussed this in our class on Tuesday, I think, of last, or no, not Tuesday. We discussed Sunday, I think, day before yesterday. So I'm going to repeat a lot of this. You should go back and study it, inshallah. And I know you studied it a little bit before, because of the quiz, but if you have any further questions or clarifications, inshallah, I will address them next Sunday and Tuesday. Then we discuss the database management system languages, the data definition language, the data manipulation language, and the data query language, how they're used and who uses them and how you can benefit from them. And then we also discuss the report writer language, which is used to write the format of the reports. And then finally, we discuss the table structure, which are the keys, the primary key, the foreign key, and the non-key attributes in a database, which allows the different tables in the database to connect with each other. Okay? Are you with me? Are you following? Are you there? Yes, no, maybe. Anybody awake out there? Okay, very good. So I'm not going to ask you to ask me questions at this point unless you have one, because I know you have not had the chance to study them in detail. You should be able to do it before next class, inshallah, or all for these chapters. The questions in the exam are going to be from chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, the ones that we discussed. It's going to be 30% of the grade of the entire course. There will be 20 multiple choice questions, and each one is 0.75 marks. And then there are 10 true-false questions, each one half mark. And then there are 4 short answer questions, all 4 short questions together, 10 marks. And there is a drawing question which weighs a little bit heavier than the other short questions. Now, you should know that the drawing question is one question in one exam. This exam is 30%, and the drawing question is a part of this short answer, which is 10 marks, and the drawing question is maybe 3-4 marks, something like that. And if you draw something, if you make an attempt to draw something, and if there is something close, I will give you partial credit. So you should not stress over the drawing question. It is a small part in the entire course, first of all. Not to say that this is not important for you to learn. You should try to learn it because it is something that is practical. This is something that you're going to need in real life. But if you are having a little difficulty, it requires practice. If you're having a little bit difficulty, you should not overly panic about it. This is not something that is a huge portion of the exam, and the exam is not a huge portion of the course either. Does that make sense? So I just want to take some of the stress away from you, make your life a little bit easier for you, because some students really stress over this, and I don't want my students to stress over anything, much less something like a flowchart. Okay? Are you following? Everybody with me? Okay. Very good. Now, the exam is going to be next Wednesday, which is September 23rd at 12:30. And it's going to be in the College of Business, right? I'm sorry, not College of Business, College of Medicine. College of Medicine, right? Room number 165, right? Room number 165. So you should come and identify the room a little bit early, but you should not enter the room until I ask you to enter the room. Okay. Now make sure you have all of your belongings together in your bag. You cannot have them with you. The best thing is if you can leave them in your car, right? Just bring the necessary supplies to take the exam, and the phone you need to have to enter the building. The security will ask you to show the hetaras, but you're not going to be able to put your phone on the table. So I'm going to make an arrangement. Either you will put it on the desk in the front, or you'll shut down the phone and put it inside your pocket. I will see the arrangement at that time based on the room and so forth. I haven't been in this room myself, so go there and identify the room, but don't enter the room. Leave your belongings, books, notes, etc. in your car. Don't bring them, because if you mix them again, this is not uh, very safe, right? So and you cannot keep them with you. So I cannot let them keep the notes and the books and so forth with you. But if you all put your stuff all together in one place in the front, that is also not safe health-wise, right? Because we're trying to do social distancing. So bring just only thing you need is a couple of pens. No calculators needed, nothing needed. Just need a couple of pens, uh, and write the exam with a pen. And you need your phone to enter the building, but you cannot have one with you when you take the exam, meaning on the desk and so forth. It has to be put away. Okay. Is that clear? What I'm asking you here is this instruction clear, right? So nobody should come there and say, "Doctor, I brought the books and so forth, and my car is far away, etc." Don't bring them in the building, right? If you need to look at it until the last minute, then be outside and look at it, and then enter the building at 12:15. Okay. All right. Now, Sharat says the MCQs and true false revolve around the flowcharts. Remember, all the questions are somewhat evenly distributed among the chapters, right? So the conceptual questions about the flowcharts and the documentation and the guidelines of the documentation and so forth, there are going to be multiple choice questions and so forth, but you don't have to draw in there. You just have to identify, right? So there may be a multiple choice question which asks you to identify a symbol or a particular flowchart that is described. Okay, Sharat, are you following? So the questions are distributed among the 4 chapters. All right. Any other questions about the exam itself? When and how and so forth, the procedures of them? If you have a health condition, if anyone has a health condition, then if you have a doctor's excuse, then you can retake the exam when there is a makeup. Now, there is no online midterm exam. There will be no online midterm exam. This is based on the instructions of the Supreme Education Council given to the university, and the university has given instructions to all the instructors. All midterms will be face-to-face. If someone is quarantined and if someone has a and someone has a other than green ihtiraz, then whenever this person's ihtiraz will become green again, there will be an arrangement for them. Okay, if you have any specific issues, you can email me directly and I will handle your issue, inshallah, don't worry. Omar says, I have a lecture that ends at 12:20. Is there a place at the university where I can attend it? Yes, you can listen to the lecture online anywhere in the university. You can come to the College of Medicine even and go to a room, an empty room or a common room and so forth. There is no restriction on that, right? You just cannot be in a room where there are more than the capacity. So each room, based on the size, has been given a capacity. So you can come to any building. Does that answer your question, Omar? All right. So let's do some flowchart practice. Based on this statement, draw a simple flowchart, and I'm going to show you the answer in a couple of minutes. Okay. Okay, are you ready to see the answer? So here it is, the payroll report based on which the overtime report is prepared, and whenever there is no clear indication that it is manually done, you should consider that it is done using a computer. Okay. Next one, try this one. Right, so Atif's question is, do we need to use the communication link when we forward it to the accounting department? Now, if there is a clear indication that it is in a different location, yes, but the department could be in the same location, in which case, if there is no clear indication, then no, right? Muhammad Isa says, yes, I mentioned this at the beginning, uh, that the ones that we're practicing, the exam questions will be similar to these. Okay, ready to see the answer to this one? Are you done? Should I give you the answer? Okay, here is the answer. The monthly budget, which is signed manually, and then we have the signed monthly budget, which goes to the accounting department. Okay. So there is no clear indication here that the accounting department is at another location. Now, for example, if it says it's sent to the supplier or it's sent to the customer, uh, it is sent, not the customer gets it at the same location, then it is an indication that it is at a different location. If it says that it is sent to the branch so and so, that means it's a different location. If it is said that it is sent to the administration building, that means it is another location, right? So if if it's a location different than where you are, the zigzag is drawn at that time. That is correct, Muhammad. Okay. All right. The next one. Muhammad's question is, why did we include the second document, which is this one? This document is different from this one because this was not signed and this is now signed, right? So this is a different document after the signing took place, it was processed, it was not the same. Okay, ready for the answer to this one? Here it is. We have the income statement saved in the storage, and then we have the file opening using a computer system, and then we have the income statement on the screen. Here's the next one. Okay, ready for the answer? Need more time? Here is the answer to one. Someone verifies the tax rate from the hard copy tax file. So this is the tax file, hard copy storage. This is the actual file taken out, and the data is looked at and it's put back in. And the manual process of verifying the tax rate, right? So it's hard copy, and someone, meaning an individual, is doing it. So computer is not involved. This is how this is drawn. All of these will be available to you in Blackboard at 5 o'clock, inshallah. The last one here. Sharat says to give us an example of a use of a transmission tape. Inshallah, it is difficult for me to do it in this one step because it requires a multiple step. Okay, the transmission tape requires verification and performance of some further tasks. So this is not something that is done frequently, first of all. Well, I should not say that it could be done frequently, but when I'm not giving you the practice, you should take it as a sign of something, okay? All right, last one. Okay, ready for the answer? Here it is. Preparation of the purchase orders, the 3 copies of the purchase orders, and then we have the purchase manager where it's sent, right? It should be numbered. There is limitation on what I can do here with the symbols on the slide. When you do it uh, in the exam, you should number them. It should be numbered, and I could not do it here because of the way the slide allows me to put these here. Okay. The manager, this symbol is called a terminal. The manager is an external party, so you're sending it to someone other than who's preparing it and so forth, right? So the terminal could be, it could be a terminal, it could indicate a department, it could indicate an external party. So this, in this case, the purchase manager is other than who's preparing the purchase order. Okay. All right, then these slides will be posted in Blackboard. Look at the exercises and try to draw them without looking at the solution. Okay, without looking at the solution. Okay, the magnetic disk does not have more than one symbol. It is the same symbol. The magnetic disk we have drawn here. The magnetic disk should be drawn like this. Okay, this is the magnetic disk. The way that you have it in the slide, it is turned sideways, and this part is somehow missing on that slide. So this is how the magnetic disk should be drawn. Okay, is that clear? All right, then the quiz password is 1956. You can start the quiz, and once you're done, you can leave. I will see you on Sunday, inshallah. I will stay here for a few minutes. If you have any issues, questions, and so forth, you can type your concern here or you can email me, and I will tend to those if you have any issues, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.